Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us again. Today, we're going to go through Ken Shoulders number 11. And this is, again, some information that Chris Beskar gave me when I had an interview with him at one point. Um, yeah, let's dive into it. I think Brendan's going to read for us. Thank you, Brendan.
Okay, so just okay then. Hi everyone. I'm going to read these documents that Eddie sent me the other day. Okay, detecting fundamental wave action in elementary particles by using an EVO by Ken Shoulders, 2010. Time is rapidly approaching when advanced expertise afforded by using EVO technology will allow elementary particles to be interrogated as to what their basic constituents are. These fundamental structures, we classically call particles, are thought by some to be composed of only oscillatory wave patterns that are phase locked into harmonic structures with very long lifetimes, hence narrow bandwidth. Fundamental frequency of these oscillations is far above that which can be simply detected and measured by existing oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers. However, they still fall well within the accessible range of heterodyne detection methods. All that is needed for frequency reduction, rendering the lower sideband easy to analyze, is two oscillators that can beat against each other in the presence of an incorporated non-linearity capable of producing a lower sideband which falls within the range of easily available detectors like an oscilloscope. All of these requirements are fulfilled within a single EVO that is also capable of enfolding nuclei of any element for elemental analysis. Without having done the experiment, how can one even suspect that there is a potential for the required non-linearity? A very strong hint comes from fundamental considerations of what is seen over and over in EVO measurements. When an EVO ingests or assimilates electrons of almost any energy while under nearly stable conditions, it purges or spews out only a single narrow band of electron energies near 2 kilovolts. This alone demonstrates the EVO is not operating under strictly linear conditions and strongly hints that a powerful non-linearity is at work inside. Additionally, when an EVO engulfs nuclides, many of the emerging or issuing species are found to be nuclear transmutations.
Wow.
This effect is seen very often in cold fusion studies, which have their roots in EVO behavior. This transmutation action also strongly implies a useful nonlinear action operating within the EVO, where mixing action generates cross-modulation products having the form of a new species of wave formation, which in turn translates to the new nuclides we see experimentally. Whether or not there are oscillators available within an EVO that can be measured is at the root of our quest. Regardless of how high the oscillator frequency is, it stands to reason that the required non-linearity is still functional, and a lower sideband signal will still exist for detection using conventional apparatus coupled to the EVO. The trick of achieving clean detection of particle oscillation lies in how to avoid most of the obscuring noise existing in a conventional measurement setup. EVO is blessed with being able to cool itself to a very low temperature while in a stationary position.
Hmm.
This is true only if the depth of the black state is an indication of a cooling function. To date, this blackening or cooling has been traced to be over 1 billion times below the normal white state.
Hmm.
In such a measured black state, the EVO emits only a few electrons per second. This cooling effect can proceed to an even blacker, perhaps cooler state if care is taken not to lose the EVO entirely, as they can just go away. Obviously, it is assumed here that such a low electron emission count from the EVO translates to a low noise environment. It requires the wildest form of guesswork to anticipate the signal form that will emerge from the type of detector discussed here. But the extremely narrow band of wave-like elementary particles formed give a clue that some very low frequency components are available. I'm sure there will be some signals with the classic form of a near zero beat as the emerging particle is being formed.
Hmm.
This signal type might be preceded by a chirping signal as phase locking progresses. This entire class of signal patterns will be dominated by phase-sensitive effects necessary to form stable wave-like particle structures. Is there any likelihood of something commercial arising from this bit of proposed scientific discovery?
Hmm.
I believe there is, and one early contribution could be in the form of controlled transmutation instead of the random isotope production now seen. This assertion arises from the knowledge that whenever heterodyne down frequency conversion exists, there is the necessary ingredients available for frequency conversion as well. If so, that raises the thought that by adding small but complex signals into the up conversion channel, specific wave structures can be selectively formulated by synchronizing newly formed temporarily unstable structures to produce specific new isotopes for great value arising from exciting low value isotopes in residence. All of this appears close to stories of what the alchemists of old did, perhaps in an entirely different way, right or not.
Wow. There's a lot of stuff going on there. What stood out to me is the EVO is blessed with being able to cool itself to a very low temperature while in a stationary position. This is true only if the depth of the black state is an indication of the cooling function. To date, this blackening or cooling has been traced to over 1 billion times below the normal white state. That's wild. Very, very interesting stuff, eh? Um, the other thing that's really sticks out is he's continually talking about the non-linearities here that basically allow this to work, essentially. Very cool.
Okay, continuing. Elements of Support for New Technology by Ken Shoulders. A very personal and biased view of the required elements for efficient financial support of new technology is presented here, as summarized by the author's extensive experience in exploratory research. The present quest for a new thrust into alternative energy generation methods prompts this note that is designed to diminish the need for a standard business proposal writing in such an inherently foggy area. Definitions. New. An important word needing an exact definition for this discussion is new. Its use is often sloppily applied to a slight variation of an old stunt, but it cannot be employed in that context here. For present purposes, new means that the effect sought has never before been physically accomplished, and quite possibly never will be. It is not even a sophisticated extension of an existing object or product. It must be a mysterious and misunderstood as cold fusion or zero-point energy. It must be exploratory in nature and not a more predictable development project. Academic method. Since we will be talking about a method of proceeding into uncharted regions, it is prudent to compare methods. The two listed for comparison here are the academic method and the explorer's method, as they are quite separate when the connotation of new is used in its proper context. The basic difference between the two methods is teaching. The explorer should not be burdened with teaching anyone until he has finished his job to a previously defined point. If that point is attained, the explorer is free to teach if he so chooses. Definition: the academic method is a collegial effort involving many people that can readily form into usual cliches and clubs easily capable of censure of non-conforming individuals. This almost certainly leads to constraints not beneficial to efficiently exploring new areas. Even the publication requirements of academia constrain to a much higher degree than desirable for sensitive exploratory work. In fact, publication in any form is an undue constraint that should not be imposed on explorers, as it is primarily an unnecessary teaching function. Publish only when the exploration is done. This is particularly true of patent publications with their business orientation. About this process of comparison, it is absolutely necessary to keep efficiency in mind. Otherwise, the two methods can flux over, blend together, and become indistinguishable. Exploring the way the author defines it is a necessarily efficient and parsimonious process, permitting minimal dispersion of either time or money. Accuracy, often a requirement of the academic method, is rarely necessary in finding great answers. The work can be cleaned up better after the exploration is done and mistakes have been cast aside. Examples from the past. Although it may just be fable, there is a reported time of scientific renaissance when a prince sought knowledge for its own sake and not merely to add power to his domain. However, I'm sure the prince was properly positioned to take full advantage of whatever was found as a result of his funding for exploration. This seems only reasonable. In the good old days of science, the scientist supported himself. He could do this because he was independently wealthy and had the time to do so as a hobby. Those days may be gone forever, as the world now seems to be divided between those who make money and those who are employed by them. It seems that the wealthy must now work so hard making money that they have no time for science hobbies. Also, the paradigm for the good life has shifted over time, and it is no longer stylish to be a hobby scientist while occupying a fashionable social position, as that seems to be going against the implied grain. In addition, science has arguably grown more complicated, thus taking more time away from the pursuit of money. Thus taking more time away from the pursuit of money, illusion of real value. With the growth of complications, science is now relegated to the status of employer and employee, causing the scientist to seek employment wherever he can be found. It now emerges as the princely method of new science support. A bad structure. Business is a methodology designed primarily for competitive warfare and is antagonistic to new science as it presents an uncertain change. Change is the enemy of business because business flourishes in status quo. How then can these two separate states coexist peacefully? The answer is likely to be they cannot. With only slight variations, the control and dictatorial elements of government support place it the same category as a business. Operating under the mandate of control, a business must extract a proposal for work to be done in the future by a scientist trying to do new work that cannot be guaranteed. Under these conditions, an invalid proposal is all that results, and this sets the stage for acrimony between the employer and employee. Since a valid proposal can have no accurate projection of either time or money, a detailed financial proposal represents nothing but lies due to the ubiquitous inability to foresee the future. In lieu of a detailed proposal, it is easily possible to impose financial limitations on the proposed project as a grant without using any other controls. Lacking this grant from business, the proper action for the proposing scientist is to turn away from the financially driven business entity and seek a prince. Additional failure points are predominant in mixing new science with business. It is clear that a business mentally is not beneficial as it directs too strongly where no accurate guidance is possible for a business standpoint, from a business standpoint. As an example, business interests are likely to demand patent filings before the invention intended reaches the point of reality. In honestly new work, no one can predict the outcome of incomplete work, and much effort can be lost writing about and defending what will not likely happen. It is certain that the Patent Office is not qualified to determine the validity of anything new, as that is far away from their natural domain, and their burden of economics will allow nothing else. Early in the discovery cycle, patents present a very negative effect on exploration. The dangers of publication abound as it demands accuracy in new work where there should only be guidance generated. Leave the publication to developers or educators having time to fight through peer review process where there are no real peers available in such a new field. Even then, the peer review process should never involve a club member trying to sustain his club credentials above all else, as is usually done. The moral of all this is this. The moral of all of this is don't publish sensitive results too soon. Attributes of the working method. Financial support should have the structure of a grant with no demanding business extensions, whereby the method used by the working group determine everything of value. By necessity, new work demands a small, efficient group that is physically responsible, parsimonious by nature. An explorer must naturally have these qualities and be comfortable living with them. It is not a life of plenty. The author has found, in his many years of doing scientific exploration, a series of occurrences somewhat at variance with the imagined norm, but being a normal part of frontier work, which also seem essential. As strange as it might seem, there is very little help available from the scientific literature, as it is either not there at all or is misleading. Some of the basic qualities available from past science can be used, but mostly common vernacular of engineering is usually adequate. In a parallel to this, there is no help from conferences or symposiums, as appropriate ones will come only when the exploration is done. For the author's own work, there has been absolutely no help available from existing mathematical tools when foraging through the frontiers. We're near finished now. Additional negative factors that must be subdued to have a good working method, keeping in mind that whatever you are doing is likely to be rejected by whoever you talk to, as it is still too new to be part of their genre acquired through daily contact. Along with this are myriad other insidious negative influences inherent in our social structure, designed to set apart anyone whose life departs from the norm. This ostracism is not surprising considering some of the practices needed to succeed on the frontier. One example the author has found interesting is the need to keep from using a standard name for a project, or otherwise the work is inextricably driven toward the known word, meaning instead of the yet to be acquired goal. With this necessary kind of behavior, no wonder the frontier scientist is excommunicated. Third, financial support method. In this fantasy of new science support, either individuals or small groups with a financial surplus will tender help, just as it was in the good old days of science. And so we see nothing has changed. The immutable rule that can be seen here is that workers require lunch money, and without that money, there is no work. No work means there will be no new technology. That means no progress. If we can believe in the and live with that conclusion, we have no problem with scientific support, as we can simply ignore it. In lieu of the usual business proposal method, future prediction of results for the support foundation can be based on past performance of the people and methods involved. Although this places an extra burden on the newcomer to the exploratory field, the best way around this and around all selection problems is to have a sensitive and astute person doing the selection process as to who and what is supported. This human selection process is perhaps even harder to do than the scientific exploratory work lying ahead. An ineffectual solution to the sponsorship of new technology returns us to either the ineffectual academic process or the stunted business government method. Okay, that's coming there. So this note can be downloaded from this website, which may not be working, but you may be able to find it in another website. Okay.
Yeah. So I think Ken Shoulders is trying to say that it's really hard to be a pioneer or a leader in these technologies, and how funding can be difficult to be found because it's all based on commercial people trying to make money, essentially. But he says that, you know, if you can have someone that is funded and there is no limitations, anything is possible, essentially, right?
Yeah. So he was talking. He was talking a bit about the olden days when it was a scientific hobby. So the person had money, scientists had money, and it was just like a hobby scientist. So they could just
Yeah,
play around with it and do what they wanted to a certain extent.
I think Nikola Tesla would be a really good example of that. He, for the most part, you know, was had funding for the most part, and most people don't understand that he didn't die poor. He actually, in 1939, he retired as the vice president of worldwide engineering for RCA, and RCA at that point was the largest tube manufacturer in the world, and the technology at the time was cutting edge technology, essentially. And believe it or not, it all has to do with charge clusters within tubes as well. Um, One thing that is interesting is we're watching the David Wilcock 2020 declassified space program, and in there they start talking about the Salvador Payas patents, and it was pretty neat to hear David Wilcock say that it was charge clusters and that caused anti-gravity to happen, but it was also charge clusters that caused the nuclear fusion reactor to work. And this is the free energy part of the Pius patents that still is going to come out at some point here.
Do we want to continue recording for most of the session, so in case we get some or do you want to continue recording in case we get some
Yeah.
interesting conversation, or what do
Did
you want
you
to do?
did you want to go through your thing that you did
Yeah,
yesterday?
I would. Do you want me to share it? It's about 16 minutes long, 16 or 17 minutes long.
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean we could.
I can share that if you like.
Yeah,
You,
let's
yeah,
do that, and we can record it, right? Yeah,
we I recorded it already.
yeah,
Um,
but we
let's
can
just
record the recording
yeah. um,
and
um,
just get some comments after and stuff, right? Um, so basically, you fed in. What did you feed in? Charge
I just
clusters?
asked what is an EVO and why are they important in terms of Ken Shoulder's work, and
Okay, cool.
then I asked her one or two questions after that. So here it goes. Here it is.
Hmm. Oh, I can't hear it.
Can you? Oh, see, can you hear it? You can't hear it. Okay, so let's go to volume. Volume. Let's take that down. That down. Stop share. And if I go to um, it usually shows this thing comes down. So what? I go to more. Pause recording. No, I'm trying to I want to sync the volume. It usually has something that drops down from the top. Um, allow record to computer. Ask to start video. Ask to unmute. Ask to unmute. Is that? Oh, I don't want to spoil it. Ask to start video. You can't. You can't hear it.
No.
Um, um, audio, video, more. Pause or stop recording. Let's just go. I don't know what these ones are. Ask to unmute. You can hear me, so I'm obviously it's obviously
Yeah.
ask to start video. Usually has some drop down thing oh, no, what I'll do is I'll just read it out. I'll read it out.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll read that because that's it. I'll do the
Can you share it? You have
yeah
screenshots of it, don't you? Yeah.
I'll just read it out. So,
Yeah. Cool.
okay, so
Thank you.
here it is at the top. Look, this is the thing at the top that I was looking for. What's it saying? Share, share computer sound, off, on, stereo. Let's try that. So let me know if you can hear it now.
Okay.
Um, can you hear it?
No,
Okay,
no,
forget that. Let me just I'll just go through the thing.
Yeah, let's just read it out.
Let's read it
there's
out.
a setting in Zoom. There's a setting, a special setting in Zoom that allows external audio.
Yeah.
Normally Zoom is by default cuts out everything. So there's no background noise. And I don't know where that is. I saw somebody do it on a Zoom and I didn't pay attention.
I'll just read it out again. I've read it out once, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can read
it's
it out.
quite
It'll be good.
interesting. I mean, I think the chatbots are getting more intelligent somehow. So they okay. So it takes about 15 minutes to go through it.
Okay.
Okay, so I asked the question the other day to myself, what is an EVO and why are they important in terms of Ken Shoulder's work? This was
Hmm.
aided by ChatGPT. EVO stands for Exotic Vacuum Object, a term coined by Ken Shoulders, a pioneering researcher in the field of high-density electron clusters and vacuum physics. Shoulders discovered that under certain conditions, electrons can form dense self-organized plasmoid-like structures that exhibit unusual properties, such as high energy density. EVOs can store and release large amounts of energy.
Mhm.
Coherent behavior. Unlike conventional plasma, EVOs seem to maintain a structured, self-stable form.
Wow.
Reduced inertial mass. Some researchers suggest that EVOs might exhibit anomalous inertia effects, potentially linking them to exotic propulsion concepts.
Bingo.
Potential for overunity. Certain experiments suggest that EVOs might extract energy from the vacuum or interact with zero-point energy in ways not fully understood.
Very cool.
Why are EVOs important? Shoulders' work suggests that EVOs could be the key to one, new energy technologies. If EVOs can be harnessed efficiently, they might provide an alternative energy source. Two, advanced propulsion. Anomalous inertia effects could lead to breakthrough space propulsion technologies.
Mhm.
Three, understanding the vacuum. EVOs challenge mainstream quantum electrodynamics and could provide experimental evidence for alternative theories of the vacuum, possibly linking to subquantum kinetics.
Ooh.
Four, biological and consciousness studies. Some theorists speculate that EVO-like structures may play a role in biological energy transport and even consciousness-related phenomena.
Cool. That's awesome.
What is the connection between EVOs and subquantum kinetics?
Mm.
The connection between exotic vacuum objects and subquantum kinetics lies in their potential role as structured energy fluctuations within the vacuum, possibly serving as experimental evidence for subquantum processes beyond conventional quantum field theory. Key connections between EVOs and SQK. Number one, vacuum as a dynamic self-organizing medium. Ken Shoulders described EVOs as coherent electron clusters that form structured, self-sustaining entities within the vacuum. Subquantum kinetics, Paul Laviolette, proposes that space-time is an open reactive system rather than a passive quantum field, with
Yeah.
energy fluctuations leading to macroscopic order. EVOs may represent localized, self-organized soliton-like structures in this dynamic subquantum medium.
Cool.
Number two, energy extraction from the vacuum. EVOs exhibit anomalous energy behaviors, seemingly drawing energy from the surrounding vacuum. SQK suggests that energy can be spontaneously generated and dissipated in open, non-equilibrium systems, possibly linking EVO behavior to subquantum processes.
Mm.
This raises the possibility that EVOs act as conduits for energy exchange between the physical and subquantum realms. Number three, charge clusters and gravity modification. Some researchers speculate that EVOs alter local space-time, potentially leading to gravitational anomalies.
Mhm.
SQK predicts that charge distributions and vacuum density fluctuations influence gravitational effects, suggesting EVOs could be a microcosmic analog of astrophysical phenomena like gravitic solitons or etheric vortex structures. Does Lacey want to say something?
Um, Yeah, is it like a crazy idea to think that they almost act as like a transition point between space-time and time-space? Maybe. Is that a crazy observation?
Um, no, actually, because the Turing wave oscillates between space-time and time-space, and it's it's etherons that form this Turing wave. So, and I remember saying to Chris Beskar that an etheron, charge cluster, and ball lightning are all one and the same in fractals. So that is a beautiful point. Yeah, thank you, Lacey. Wow.
Okay, I'll just finish this off. Number 4, torsion and consciousness links. EVOs demonstrate nonlinear and coherent behavior, possibly linked to self-organizing intelligence in nature.
Mhm.
If SQK is correct in describing consciousness as an emergent property of subquantum fluctuations, EVOs might represent physical manifestations of coherent information processing at the
Wow.
quantum at the vacuum level.
Mm.
Implications: if EVOs can be controlled, they might provide a new paradigm for energy production, propulsion, and even energetic applications. Could serve as experimental evidence for structured, self-organizing subquantum ether,
Hmm.
challenging mainstream quantum electrodynamics. Understanding their properties might bridge the gap between physics, consciousness studies, and mystical traditions that describe energetic fields influencing matter.
Wow.
Experimental evidence and engineering applications of EVOs in the context of subquantum kinetics.
Cool.
1. Experimental evidence of EVOs. Ken Shoulders EVO experiments. Shoulders conducted numerous experiments showing that EVOs form when high voltage discharges occur in a vacuum, exhibit self-coherence and travel without dispersing, unlike conventional plasmas, can penetrate materials and leave unusual surface modifications, implying anomalous energy interaction. Harold Spaden's work conducted experiments on rotating plasmas and electron clusters that suggested an interaction with a structured vacuum. We've actually looked up that term yesterday, and it has
Mm.
an interesting answer. Found inertia anomalies in charge clusters, supporting SQK's idea that mass is dynamically generated from the vacuum medium.
Cool.
On Hutchinson effect. Hutchinson observed metal warping, levitation, and strange material transmutations under high voltage and radio frequency excitation, possibly indicating EVO-like effects. Some researchers suggest that these results again align with SQK's predictions of vacuum polarization effects. Condensed matter nuclear reactions. Experiments in low-energy nuclear reactions, e.g. work by Widden and Larson, suggest that coherent electron clusters may catalyze nuclear reactions.
Hmm.
This ties into SQK by implying that EVOs may be harnessing vacuum energy or enabling subquantum mediated transmutations. Number 2, energy applications. A. Energy generation, vacuum energy extraction. Theory. If EVOs are tapping into subquantum vacuum fluctuations, they could serve as an energy extraction mechanism. Technology. Devices that generate EVOs via high voltage discharges or resonant plasmas may be used to extract excess energy from the vacuum. Potential impact. If scalable, this could be the key to over-unity energy systems.
Definitely.
Advanced propulsion, EVO-based space drives. Theory. EVOs may induce local space-time distortions, reducing inertial mass, similar to EM drive concept. I should imagine that's electromagnetic. Technology. Field generators using EVO clusters could create thrust without propellant, possibly interacting with the SQK-defined quantum ether.
Mm-hmm.
Potential impact. A breakthrough in spacecraft propulsion, replacing conventional rocketry and field-based drives. C. Material science and alchemy, EVO-induced transmutation. Theory. EVOs appear to induce nuclear transmutation effects at low temperatures, possibly via subquantum reactions. Technology. Controlled EVO discharge in specific metal matrices may enable direct element conversion. Potential impact. This could revolutionize material science, rare metal extraction, and even nuclear waste remediation.
Yeah.
D. Consciousness technology, bioenergetic applications. Theory. EVO-like charge clusters may be involved in biological energy processes, as suggested in biophotonic and bioelectromagnetic studies.
Cool.
Technology. Devices generating controlled EVOs might enhance biological coherence, healing, or even consciousness effects. Potential impact. A possible bridge between physics and energy medicine, supporting ideas from traditions like chi, prana, and morphogenetic fields. Closing thoughts. The evidence suggests that EVOs could be macroscopic expressions of subquantum processes, providing experimental confirmation of subquantum kinetics. If properly harnessed, they could revolutionize energy, propulsion, material science, and even our understanding of consciousness.
Wow, that was excellent. One of the things that stuck out for me was where they were talking about how these coherent clusters of electrons could be the cause of the nuclear transmutation and some of the low energy nuclear stuff, right? That's amazing. Wow. Is it possible that you can drop that into our signal group, the actual PDF?
That's no problem.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any comments?
Yeah, very nice summary, Brendan.
Thank you.
I thought that resonant plasmas that may be used to extract excess energy from the vacuum, I thought that was really interesting. That stuck out to me because I've always just kind of felt like our aura is like a plasmic gradient for us.
Yeah.
And so I feel like plasma is something that is maybe or maybe not at like the scale of like etherons, but definitely at some scale, like we do have plasma, and I feel like it does a lot for charge clusters and energy and consciousness.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I thought was really cool.
Do you see it as being an intelligent plasma?
Yeah.
So that's one of the basic definitions of consciousness, right?
Absolutely.
Best stab we take at it is we call it intelligent plasma. Well, that's got a lot of loose ends on it, but it's a start, I guess.
Yep, definitely. This is really excellent. So it generated a lot of sort of connections to subquantum kinetics again, right? Which we already kind of knew.
I didn't tell it that. It did it without me telling it to.
I know that's the awesome thing, because we knew that there's connections, but this is actually proving it, right? And it's That's really interesting. Thanks, Brendan, for working on that. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Eddie. Do we want to continue recording whilst in case we have some interesting conversations, or do you want to finish it?
Well, if anybody's got comments, we could add them now, and if not, maybe we can finish recording. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll finish recording if that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, thank you everyone for Ken Shoulders number 11.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day. Cheers.